I mean, what do you want to do?
I don't know. There's no intro or anything. Welcome back to the Glaziar Gamble podcast. I am Michael Glaziar.
And I am Joe Gamble.
And we are going to open off with what we normally open off with. However, I do want to say this is the mythical episode 12. This is the average length where podcasts normally give up. I just got one word to say. I'm not leaving. I'm not leaving. Yeah. We have some NBA news to start off with. The Nets trade 4 second-round picks and $5.8 million
and DeAndre
Jordan to Detroit for
Jaleel
Okogie.
Jaleel Okafor.
Which they waived Jaleel Okafor today.
Okay, and then some booyah. I don't know how to pronounce it.
Yeah, but he's a younger player potential, so they kept him, but they did waive Jaleel Okafor, who is a 100% offensive center. That game is completely outdated for the NBA today.
Yep, he's slow, he's sluggish, and
people debated on whether or not they should draft Cat him instead of Cat.
Yeah,
want to put that out there.
Yeah,
it was is Jaleel Okafor the number one, or is Karl Anthony? Yeah, I think they made the right pick there.
Yeah. Big thing I take away from this is the Nets had a ton of money. Like they had a ton of money, so they essentially bought out a portion of DeAndre Jordan's contract, like 16 mil or something like that.
Yep.
And then they, in order for them to send him to Detroit and Detroit to be like, okay, we'll buy out the rest, they have to give out 4 second-round picks. I don't know if they're all the Brooklyn Nets picks, but still, that's some capital Detroit can use going forward.
Yeah. That was probably the biggest news. DeAndre Jordan's officially, since he was bought out, he's officially a Laker today. He's officially signed. I think he is a bench player who plays maybe 12 minutes a game, and then when the playoffs come around, he'll be up to 18 minutes.
Dwight's back there, right?
Dwight is as they're listed as their backup center behind
Marc Gasol.
No, I think they're listing AD as starting center right
now.
So
you got Anthony Davis, Marc Gasol, Dwight Howard, and DeAndre Jordan. So
Marc Gasol, however, we mentioned it last week. I'll mention it again. They want to get rid of Marc Gasol.
Sure, that makes sense.
If I were them, I would have bought out Gasol already. Like I wouldn't even be looking for a trade partner. You could buy out Gasol, get a minimum free agent, and he would be more impactful than Gasol.
And you got to free up a roster spot for the inevitable Kevin Love buyout too. So
exactly. And Kevin Love, what he's been doing in Cleveland these past few years is more useful than Gasol. Just I don't want to be too harsh on Gasol, but last year it was like he fell off.
He was bad. Yeah, he was.
It was.
Real
they say
bad.
Vets hit that wall, and they just some vets just fall completely off. Like Pau Gasol. Pau Gasol is another Gasol, coincidentally, but when he fell off, it was done. Like it was very obvious he's done.
Right. Yeah.
Another big some trade news. So the Dallas Mavericks this is just a rumor, but it is something apparently according to a Dallas insider that has both reached out to The Athletic, Bleacher Report, and other major sports places such as us. They're looking for a 3-team trade, and their goal is to get Myles Turner because they believe that their defense is where they lack, and that the teams that they face, they believe they can stop the perimeter shooting right now. They believe that what they are weak at is mid-range and post defense. And that was evident with Kawhi destroying them. That was evident with
PG did well versus them too.
Yeah, exactly. Like mid-range guys that try to get down low. And then if they were to get up against DeAndre Ayton, he probably would have eaten them alive. Devin Booker's mid-range would have eaten them alive. Then you get to if they get to the finals, you have to try to stop Giannis and Middleton's mid-game. They have to be able to stop mid-range and low post. And right now they're into shooting battles, and they just aren't good enough shooters for that.
Right.
Other trade
can be hard to dump that Kristaps contract
if you get him to the right team. Because he doesn't like Luka.
Right. I mean, 44 mil. That's
a lot.
That's a lot for
So-
somebody that's underperforming.
They could move him with the agreement to pay out part of his contract. They could move him.
Yeah, but he's got multiple years left too. So it's like
Well, maybe
it's
in a year or two they can swap Chris Paul for Kristaps.
That's
have
what
two terrible.
They're gonna have to. Yeah, they're gonna have to trade. Do something.
Yeah, it's a bad contract. Probably, in my opinion, Kristaps.
It's worse than the Timothy Mozgov contract.
It's
and
worse
they had
than
to
the
attach
Dellavedova contract.
They had to attach D'Lo and a first, I believe, to get rid of Timothy Mozgov. So
it's
good luck.
I think that'll be the most difficult person to find a trade partner for. He is one of those players, like how I feel about Ben Simmons. You wait till mid-season, right before the trade deadline. If Kristaps hasn't gotten hurt and his efficiency rating is above average,
gets his shot back, hopefully, too.
Exactly. If his true shooting percentage efficiency is there, then you can prove he's worth trading for. However, if I'm a team, I wait until that point. Just like if I'm a team, if Simmons doesn't have at least 20, 50 3-pointers attempted by the trade deadline.
Is he going to play?
Simmons, exactly. If he doesn't play, which he said in an interview, I am not interested in increasing my trade value for this team.
Yeah.
So speaking of Simmons, he is the most talked about. We mentioned it this week, mentioned it on Twitter. We actually had our most viewed video yet was our Ben Simmons video that we released on Twitter. He is still the most talked about. And the newest rumors are the Charlotte Hornets, which I put no weight into. Do not believe he would go to the Hornets, or they would trade him to the Hornets. But then the big one is the Denver Nuggets. I think the Denver Nuggets have the right people to trade, the right mixture, and it's a decent fit. You can move Jamal Murray to the 2.
Yeah, so Murray, they did just re-sign Will Barton. So Barton's deal is like 12 or something like that. Aaron Gordon doesn't work with Philly because it's the same thing as Tobias Harris, essentially. So
right, and the
Michael Porter Jr.
Michael Porter Jr. is the big one that they want to get out. So you could do a sign and trade. You could give him an extension that would match Simmons and give it straight up. Yeah, and Barton, you might not even have to at this point if Simmons isn't playing.
Yeah.
So the Nuggets one, I believe. I think they have the ability. You could extend Porter Jr., trade him, so you don't even have to worry about that contract anyway. Porter Jr. wants out. Simmons wants out. And Porter Jr. is not even like he doesn't get along well with the players. It's or he doesn't like the organization, the coaching.
Sure.
So, and he wants to be the number one guy. And I think he wouldn't be number one in Philly because of Embiid, but Embiid's only going to play half the games.
I mean, even Tobias Harris is probably
I don't know. At this point, I think Tobias Harris is just overrated.
I mean, he's
overrated. Bad contract.
He's a bad contract, but like he's like a TJ Warren type thing, but he's better than TJ Warren. It's like they go off for like 20 points, but don't do really anything else.
He also plays the 4 for Philly, and I think that's terrible.
Tobias Harris, he's like 6'7", 6'8".
I feel like he would be much better on like a big, like if he was on the Bucks.
That's the first thing that I just thought of too.
My gosh, that would be so good.
Yeah.
But I think because Embiid's not going to be playing a lot, Tobias is already a second option. So with Embiid not being there every game and Michael Porter Jr. being number 1, I think he would fit. And Michael Porter Jr. is a potential, like you get the rebounding, you get the defense, and you get the passing. It's just not the defense and passing level of Simmons. But,
right.
Those are like a couple of the big rumors. I do want to shout out. So Nico Mannion I believe he was undrafted. I watched him. There are some high school players that I hear about or pay attention to, and he was one of the guys that I heard about when he was coming out into like the NBA when he was making his way up. He had an intestinal infection, like a severe one that they said it was like life-threatening. He is now through that, but he has been released. So I believe he's a free agent, but it's not like he's like a stud or anything. I just wanted to point out that
I think
glad he made it through.
Let me look him up real quick. I think I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, he led his team to a national championship, averaging like.
He was on Golden State, right?
Yeah, he was on Golden State's G League team.
Yeah. So I remember him. Yeah. Good for him. Good. Released, that's good news.
But yeah, I'm glad he is okay. Just wanted to say that just because we're about positivity on this show. And we want to make sure that he is everyone's doing all right. Just like we wanted Karl Anthony Towns' family. We were thinking about him early on. We want to make sure every person is healthy that's why I'm a little worried for LaMarcus Aldridge coming back. I hope he's okay when he comes back. He demolishes the Timberwolves every time he plays them.
He was cleared.
Yeah.
Those Portland games, Aldridge. Like
the Timberwolves announcer just hated the fact. Aldridge.
Just 15 to 18 feet jump shots.
Aldridge.
Make every single one.
And Kevin Love would always try to match him. It was always Kevin Love. And Kevin Love. Aldridge. Every time.
Yeah.
And then Lillard would go off because they would take Rubio off him for some reason.
Yeah.
Speaking of Blazers, Aldridge, Blazers were looking to add a couple key pieces because Lillard, it sounds like, will stay for 1 year to give Chauncey Billups a chance, just like a lot of the NBA analysts, that the insiders that were getting like information directly from them. That's what they've been saying the whole time. It's just the media that's been saying that Lillard wants out. Lillard wants to give him a year. So they're going to try to add some people around him. A couple of the players that were listed, I think, were like not great options. The one that I think would be a good option is Michael Beasley.
Yeah, he played for their G League team, their summer league team with Kenneth Faried and some other. There's one other vet, Emmanuel Mudiay.
Yeah, Mudiay. So I'd say go ahead and add him. Like I don't think there's anything wrong with adding him.
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to get any defense from him, but it's in the same kind of. I mean, it's like a Melo, right? It's like Melo's going to come in. He's going to be really good in ISO. He's going to make some jump shots. That's
the Dallas Mavericks 3-4 guy. What's his name?
Dory Finney-Smith.
I feel like he could be like a
great defender.
A lower, like a offensively could be about a Dory Finney-Smith toned down a little bit. Like I feel like that's his peak right now, which I think most teams, especially a playoff team like Portland, can use a guy like that.
Yeah, and Beasley's always been like a streak shooter. Like even when he was with the Wolves, like he's like, all right, if Beasley's on that night, he's gonna drop 36. But
we loved him on the Wolves because
he's not
drain it, or lefty, he would drain it.
He'd have no emotion. Just
he'd walk back and he'd be like, because he'd always be rapping to the music be singing, always. Yeah. And so I loved Beasley. I would love to see him in Portland because, weed's legal there. The NBA doesn't test. He would be at peak. He'd be at peak because he'd be functioning at where he's comfortable.
Sure.
So I'm all for it. I want them to sign Beasley, and I want to see Cheeched Michael Beasley in the NBA.
Dude, I don't know if the league's ready for that.
I think Cheech Michael Beasley might be back to college Beasley. 20 points a game.
That's funny.
Hey, it's funny. Just saying.
Yeah. There's one more NBA news we don't have on here. You had you saw a poll today about centers.
Yeah, it was so I was on. There's scouring YouTube and scouring some other places where they post polls, and it was who's the third best center in the league behind Embiid and Jokic. And with over 50% of the votes, that was between Karl Anthony Towns, Bam Adebayo, and Rudy Gobert. And with over 50% of the votes, Karl Anthony Towns was voted. And I was going through all the replies and the comments to see what people would say.
Sure.
And everybody was saying, why is Karl Anthony Towns so underrated? Like the Timberwolves keep losing, but if people would actually be able to watch the Timberwolves play, but
you can't watch the Timberwolves play because Bally Sports North doesn't have any streaming rights with anybody, so you can't watch any Wolves games anyway. So people were saying because you don't see Cat play. And then there's some people saying that Karl Anthony Towns shoots over 40% as a 7-footer from three. Yeah, he's the best 3-point shooting big man in NBA history.
And a lot of the comments were saying you can arguably say Karl Anthony Towns is better offensively than either Jokic or Embiid.
Yeah,
and I think you can argue it from a shooting standpoint, but Embiid is way better in the low post game. Jokic
I think
Cat
see, they're big. They use their muscle better, whereas Cat uses his like footwork and finesse.
Cat's like all about his athleticism because he used to be point guard. Yeah, while Embiid and Jokic, it's like we've always been bigs.
Yeah, when Cat can just turn around and do like a Dirk fadeaway. The other guys can't do that. Jokic, they can do it, but like if Cat does it, you're like, all right, that's the.
But when you had all around game, Embiid's a better defender. If you're assuming they're all playing 82 games, Embiid's a better defender. Jokic is the best all around. Like Jokic is going to potentially average a triple-double as a center. That's just stupid.
Yeah. And Cat's a great passer too. He just doesn't get as many opportunities. He's a great passer.
5 assists a game. So as a center, people used to say Brad Miller was a unicorn because he was averaging like 7 assists. And then when he got to the playoffs was like 10 assists. It was like, okay, well, we have that. So, but with offense. I agree. I think right now, Embiid and Jokic are the 2 best centers in the league. Cat would be, in my opinion, a clear third. And honestly, I would probably take Vucevic over Adebayo or Gobert. I know Heat fans would get upset.
Yeah, you're getting the defense with the other 2. But yeah, Vucevic is underrated too.
I think Vucevic is super underrated. But that's, again, another like player that was stuck on a team for a while that just didn't get any attention. Yeah,
he was very, very in Kevin Love's situation in Orlando.
But I think that's an obvious like top 5, 6.
Sure. Yeah.
And then now DeAndre Ayton's on his way up. I just don't think he's there yet. It'd be recency bias because people got to watch him. But yeah, there's our NBA news. Well, let's move along on to NFL. We have quite a bit of NFL this week because it is week 1 of the NFL.
There's some games going on right now. Soon.
We have the first game of the season, Cowboys versus Buccaneers, the defending Super Bowl champions and the 2 most talked about players of the offseason for the past 2 years. Dak Prescott and Tom Brady. Yeah, we'll talk about that in a little bit. We're going to start with some Viking stuff. Brian O'Neill, Minnesota Vikings. We've talked about him multiple times. Probably the most underrated offensive lineman, especially if you want to take it into Madden, where he's a 78 overall.
78 overall, yeah. He's since he came into the league, or maybe this was last year, he was the 4th best right tackle in the league. And he's given up. He has. You could take. There's like 10 right tackles that I've seen in this list where Brian O'Neill's like sack percentage is like 0.139 or something like that. And he's allowed 5 sacks since he's came into the league, something like that. And it's better than the number 1 paid right tackle, Ryan Ramczyk, has double his sack percentage. So they're both very small numbers, but he's
allowed the same amount of sacks per game as Quentin Nelson. But Quentin Nelson does go against D tackles. It's a little different, but like
so O'Neill's with the fast linebackers and the defensive.
He goes against Khalil Mack twice a year. He goes against Zadarius and Preston Smith. He goes up against
whoever's on the Seahawks because we always play them.
Yeah, Seahawks, Ben KJ Wright and some other guys. Frank Clark he's gone now.
Well deserved. I mean, the market kind of dictated
5 years, 92, by the way.
So so this is his last year of his rookie deal. So it's like 2.94 mil or something like that. It's something just absurd.
Way up.
And then it jumps. Yeah. So the first 2 years he's going to be considered overpaid because that's where all the guaranteed money is. But then by the time that's over, he's probably going to be close to like the 8th or 10th tackle.
I saw a lot of the fan reactions from other teams were saying holy overpay, but that just proves how underknown.
Yeah,
like he's just not known. He's the best lineman on the team.
Yeah,
like he is the best lineman on the team and has been the best lineman on the team basically.
He's a top right tackle in the league,
and he used to be a tight end and that just shows like he's athletic enough to stop those big guys. And I've been pounding this. It's one of those like I'm gonna die on this hill things.
Christian Ponder again, or
no? I think mobile pockets are the future of the NFL, where the entire line shifts with your quarterback. So instead of the quarterback breaking out of the pocket and it being considered a scramble, I think you're going to see a lot more teams shift the offensive line where it's a designed scramble. The Chiefs do it. The Niners do it. You're just a lot of the young minds. The Bills do it. Cardinals do it. A lot of the I think it's the future of the NFL. And you're going to need guys like Brian O'Neill can move left or right.
Yeah, just the fact that he's allowed such a small sack percentage shows that he's a great pass blocker from that right side. Yeah. And the fact that he was the 4th best right tackle last year in run blocking shows how good he is in run blocking. So
and I know a thing or two about small sacks.
That's right.
Kyle Pitts, wide receiver 18.
Yeah, I saw this.
Okay, well, let's move on to that. That's interesting.
So I saw this. It was either by Madden or someone said that Kyle Pitts is wide receiver 18 in Madden.
Like,
and
if
some
you
people
switch him to wide receiver.
no, not wide receiver. Sorry, tight end 18.
Okay.
I'm messing up all over. He's tight end 18 in Madden. So people are thinking, he hasn't played a down in the NFL yet.
Yep. I think that's fair.
Is that too low or is that too high?
I think
so
that's
people were
right on.
Yeah. So 18, he's a middle of the pack tight end.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen some people say that Kyle Pitts right now is tight end 5. So
if he can produce like he did in college in the NFL, sure.
I mean, I can name 5 tight ends that are above him right now, right? There's the big 3. There's Kelsey, Kittle, Waller, and then Mark Andrews is in that mix too. And then Gesicki, Jonnu Smith is probably a better tight end. Hunter Henry, Austin Hooper,
you could make it. I think you'll be able to make the argument maybe by the end of this year. But the last good rookie tight end was Gronk.
TJ Hawkinson did all right.
But his rookie year, I think he only had 3 touchdowns or 4 touchdowns.
Right. So
it depends on what you think is good. If you think Kyle Pitts getting 4 touchdowns and 600 yards, I think that's around like what Hawkinson had. I should check that quick.
I think what I said it was too low. And I don't think that's saying like, oh, I think he should be tight end 5.
TJ Hawkinson in his first season had 367 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah. So, but TJ Hawkinson last year, I mean, was right?
Last year, He had 720 and 6 touchdowns.
Yeah, so that's
a big jump. Like no tight end is ever good. The tight end is the hardest position to learn in the NFL. You have to learn how to blocking scheme. So you have to practice with the own linemen. Then you have to practice with the receivers. Usually you're on special teams. Like tight end is the hardest position to get acclimated to, which is why no tight end is ever good. And the last Gronk was in this league, like he's drafted over a decade ago. That's the last time they expected. Like I said this with Ebron. Everybody thought Ebron was going to have like a massive breakout his rookie year. And they're like, you have to draft him. I think Evan Ingram had an okay rookie year.
Yeah.
Noah Fant was okay, but like all of them are okay to like average.
Right.
And I think at best, Kyle Pitts' rookie year will be average, like right around
18.
However,
yeah,
I'm not going to say he's not going to. Does he have the potential to be a top 5 numbers? Sure. But based off of what we've seen in the past.
Yeah, I mean the 5 I named, I would take before Kyle Pitts.
Right. But if you're saying like, who would you take for the next 5 years? I'll move Kyle Pitts up to top 5. I'll take Kyle Pitts over the next 5 years over Mark Andrews, I think. And I'll take him over because we don't know who's going to be quarterback for Dolphins in 5 years. We don't know if it's still going to be Tua or not. I'll probably take him over Gesicki.
Right.
But Kelsey by that time would be almost 40. So I'll take him over Kelsey.
Sure.
But my top are still going to be Kittle, Waller. Right. And then like Logan Thomas,
he's old. He's 30,
he's older. Like for the next 5 years, I'll probably take Pitts. But for this year, I'll probably put Thomas ahead of him.
Yeah.
I'm okay with eating my words. I want Kyle Pitts to be successful. Do I think he's going to be though?
Yeah. So the question, Kyle Pitts tight end 18, is that too low or too high?
Right on the nuts.
Okay.
Like I don't think it's
I said too low, but I'm not saying he's like tight end 5. You know what I mean? It's probably like tight end 17,
if you told me
16.
Anywhere between 15 and 20. I would be okay with it. And he's 18. So I saw that you did that or put that there and I didn't even see it. And I wanted to mention it. Oh, we mentioned Brian O'Neill signing an extension. Another lineman that got a contract, Duane Brown, who got instead of an extension, they gave him more guaranteed money that can go anywhere between 7 and 12 million or something. So
so I think a lot of teams are doing that now. If they've got the cap room or they figure out some way to manipulate the cap where they put more guaranteed money up front and it gives the team more cap room.
If the Saints can be over 20 million over cap and then somehow be under the cap by the time the offseason's over, people are going to watch what they do. And look, what the Saints do is they change the money around just like everybody else.
Yeah, the voided contract situation is weird because we did that even this year with Barr. Mm-hmm. So,
which I think with Barr potentially not playing week 1, this is most likely his last season with the Vikings. They were okay with him going to the Jets. All right. So before we preview week 1 of the NFL season, there were a couple more things I want to talk about. The Ravens are cursed, I think.
Yeah, that's rough. Man, I just read the confirmations.
So Gus Edwards confirmed ACL.
Yep. And
how
Marcus
about Peters?
Yep.
Also ACL.
Yep.
So they lose J.K. Dobbins, then they lose Marcus Peters, and then they lose Gus Edwards in back-to-back plays.
Yeah.
To the point where they cut practice off early. They were both non-contact, similar to like Teddy Bridgewater, non-contact.
Okay.
Oh, just
Sad.
super disappointing.
Sad.
Like, this is a contract year for Lamar, so now it just puts more pressure on him.
Right.
And they're a run-first team. So their starting running back right now is Tyson Williams. I think it's Tyson Williams. And then they have Le'Veon Bell on their practice squad.
Yeah. So I'm thinking if I were the Ravens, I would look into possibly making a trade with the Houston Texans.
Would you get Duke Johnson?
I would get probably Mark Ingram back. I know it's scheme wise.
Apparently they don't want him.
Yeah, but I mean, like, did the Texans have a multitude of backs?
If they're out for the season, they don't count as
right. They got Mark Ingram,
spots.
David Johnson, Rex Burkhead, Philip Lindsay, Duke Johnson, maybe. Like,
so Philip Lindsay and David Johnson are supposed to be their starters. Like, if I'm them,
Mark Ingram's getting the highest percentage of.
Okay, so
he's considered that. I mean, you're supposed to stay away from the Texans backfield, but
right. Well, so if I'm the Ravens, Latavius Murray, you don't have to give up anything. You can go sign him.
Yeah.
Adrian Peterson is still a free agent.
He looks good in purple.
He does look good in purple. We know that already. He wants to play for a championship team. He said before this season that he's not just going to sign with anyone. Ravens are, in my opinion, a championship level team.
Sure.
As long as John Harbaugh's your coach, you're a championship level team. Also, if you're going to trade for or another free agent, not really their style of running back, but Amir Abdullah was cut by the Vikings.
Yeah. He's on back at practice squad, I think.
Okay. So well, there's players out there you could go.
Devonta Freeman, Todd Gurley.
You don't have to give up anything for those guys, and all of those guys. You could sign, since they lost multiple running backs, you could sign multiple of those guys. You could like Todd Gurley and Devonta Freeman. You could sign Adrian Peterson and Latavius Murray. You could sign Amir Abdullah and one of those other guys. Like, you could sign a couple of guys and get like a mixture in your backfield. You can get a pass catching and a run first, or just get two vertical runners like a Gurley Peterson sort of thing. So I feel bad for the Ravens and I feel bad for Lamar, but the Ravens. There's always one team that's just screwed with injuries. This year, it looks like it's the Ravens.
Yeah.
The Niners, a couple years ago, it was them.
Yeah.
The only positive I can look at this is Lamar will still do well. He'll get his extension, but the Ravens might not do well, maybe get a higher draft pick than they're normally used to and get a piece that just launches them forward. And then they end up 15-2 next year. So
sure.
That's the biggest positive. If you want to think positive as a Ravens fan, maybe just look for a decently okay team, not as good as you're used to. Next year is your big boom, your Bills of 2020 season. Got it. Like one of those.
Yeah.
Sticking with the Ravens, I put down in my little notes, I feel like they're one of those teams that's screwed over the next couple years because all of their best offensive young players are still on cheap deals.
Right. I'm talking about like Orlando Brown, Lamar,
stuff
like that.
Yeah, a couple of their not younger, couple of their linemen are rookie deals. Yep. Hollywood. Mark Andrews, I think, just got his. He got
paid. Yep.
So like Mark Andrews was the start. Next is going to be Lamar Jackson being the highest paid quarterback ever. Then it's going to be Hollywood Brown being a top 10 paid wide receiver.
Yeah.
And it's going to be J.K. Dobbins getting paid as a top. Like, I feel really nervous for him in the next couple of years. So I think next year is the widest open their window will be. And then after that, it's going to start closing.
Yeah. They don't have a cap genius like we do. Like the Vikings do.
Like the Spiel man.
The guy who does our cap is a wizard.
Another running quarterback, Cam Newton, announced he'll be doing basically a tell-all video tomorrow on Instagram talking about the Patriots, talking about how he is not done with football. And
he says it's not a retirement video.
It's not a retirement video. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm going to try to watch it. Usually I'm pretty busy during the day, but I will do my best to watch it, and I'm not sure what time that's going to be at. And then TJ Watt signed a 4-year, $112 million contract with $80 million guaranteed. So highest paid defensive player, most guaranteed money of any defensive player, more than Myles Garrett, more than any of those guys, and it's well deserved. So that's it for all the other NFL news. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is previewing the Vikings week 1 versus the Cincinnati Bengals, because we are a Minnesota based podcast, but we do just cover all sports, but we do focus on Minnesota heavily. Let's go like with the key matchups. We did have a comment from Ja'Marr Chase today stating that the reason he's dropping so many balls is because the NFL ball is too hard to catch, or harder to catch than the NCAA ball, because there's no white stripes on it, so it's harder to see.
Hard to see.
I've listened to some former wide receivers. I've listened to some former DBs. I played wide receiver for 1 year. Wasn't my favorite position, but I've listened to some pros, and a lot of them don't look for the ball until last second. So you're processing placement. You're not processing what the ball looks like. It's about reaction, putting your hands in the right spot. I think this is a very weird comment. I don't think any pro has ever been thrown off before by so the NFL ball is a different type of leather. So it's smoother, slipperier. So it's harder to catch in that way. I would understand that.
Right.
And it's being thrown by guys that can throw harder than college, most likely.
Sure.
And you have to fit it into tighter windows, tighter coverage, all that stuff. But the white lines, that's so weird.
Yeah.
I wanted to bring that up because I feel like that's his way of, he's coming up with an excuse, but I think it's more than an excuse. Like,
right.
Anyway,
I mean, you see people drop balls all the time, and it's usually they're having their hands here, but their head's over here because they're already running, right? Like they're already moving on.
Yep. Justin Jefferson had one of those.
Yeah. So, and it's not the fact that like they can't see the ball, because they can see the ball. They know it's going to be right here. Yep. They know it's going to be here, but they're moving.
They hear footsteps. Yeah. They don't want to get hit. Some guys, some guys you see, so like you do the tree. Some guys, their tree is too wide and it often hit their chest, or like the ball will go right through because it's slicker. It's just weird. But he is one of those key matchups for me. I think Ja'Marr Chase versus either he's going to swap between Patrick Peterson, Cam Dantzler, Bashaud Breeland. Yeah. He probably won't play in the slot much. I think the slot's going to be taken up. I think Tyler Boyd is a huge matchup.
Yep.
Because I think Tyler Boyd is a huge mismatch. I think our DBs with safeties will match up well with Ja'Marr Chase, but I think Tyler Boyd's a massive mismatch. I wouldn't be surprised if the first Bengals touchdown is a pass to Tyler Boyd.
Yeah, I mean he's
over 30 yards.
He's wide receiver 2 for as long as we can remember, and then he could easily be like tight end 1 in the right scenario. So
tight end 1,
wide receiver 1. I've been messing
Kyle
up
Pitts,
those spots.
Tyler Boyd.
Yeah. No, he could easily be wide receiver 1 in any scenario.
He's so good.
He had like a 3 touchdown game last year, I think, too.
He's very underrated. He's very much like Rashard Higgins, Donovan Peoples-Jones for the Browns,
Marvin Jones for the Lions.
They've been buried. They're not always considered the number 1 wide receiver, so they're not talked about, and they've been playing on teams that people don't always pay attention to, or there's other people they focus on, but they're really good. So
Tyler Boyd's really good.
I feel the same way about KJ Hamler on the Broncos. He's another receiver nobody ever pays attention to, but should have. I think KJ Hamler is going to have a breakout year. Just want to throw that out there. But so the Bengals matchups: Ja'Marr Chase, Tyler Boyd. Tyler Boyd, I think, is going to be the destroyer. I think the Vikings are going to handle Joe Mixon.
Yeah, I think so too. I think that the Bengals need to try to get Joe Mixon going, which is going to be tough to do. You know, we got 2 guys in the middle that are going to eat their interior linemen alive, and then you got Daniil on the outside who's going to want to make a point, prove a point.
The Bengals decided to go for wide receiver over. They could have had Penei Sewell.
Yeah,
and I think that's going to be felt. I think Daniil Hunter is going to get at least 1 sack. I'm going to wince every time because I don't want Joe Burrow to get hurt.
Right. Yeah. So you want to get Joe Mixon going to take the pressure off, so Burrow doesn't have to pass it every down. Because we're just going to pin our ears back and rush the passer. So.
And if you let Eric Kendricks lay a couple people, like lay a couple hits and get him into the motion of playing defense,
right?
You're going to have a rough day. Yeah. I think the Bengals are outmatched. I think so. The Vikings are 3-point favorites. I think that the Vikings are going to win it and cover it for betting purposes. By the way, I will preface all of our picks. This is not betting advice. This is like a legal thing. This is not betting advice. If we take what we say and spend money and lose money, that's not our fault. We're not telling you to do this. But I think the Vikings win it and cover. I think Zach Taylor is on the hot seat, the Bengals head coach. And I think it's going to prove why, because most people around the NFL, the insiders, the experts, think that Zach Taylor isn't head coach material. Most of those guys know what they're
Sure.
talking about. Just like most people in the NFL love Mike Zimmer. It's the fans that don't.
Right. Yeah.
Zimmer knows football.
Yeah.
Zach Taylor seems to be one of those guys that he's in too big of shoes. So I think there's a coaching mismatch that is going to take into effect. And I think the Bengals defense, their DBs.
Yeah. Speaking of that, how do you think the Vikings, so you talked about the Bengals offense, what they had to do to win.
Yep.
What about the Vikings offense?
I think Adam Thielen is going to get a lot of 10 outs, like 10 yards and outs.
Sure.
And I think Justin Jefferson's going to be going deep post a lot.
He's got Eli Apple on him.
So they have an incredible safety, top 5 safety in the NFL. Jesse Bates. He is absolutely incredible, but he can only help cover one.
Yeah.
Jack Conklin was given the good to go. So Jesse Bates, if he's
Tyler,
Jack. We now have an offensive tackle as our tight end. No, so Tyler Conklin was given the go. So we have Tyler Conklin playing. Chris Herndon's playing. So Jesse Bates can only help out with one. So he's going to help out Justin Jefferson because without Trey Waynes, Eli Apple's not fast enough. Nope. He has to get a 10-yard. So and that's the thing. So like pay attention to the depth of corner. So are they giving Justin Jefferson 5 yards? Are they giving Justin Jefferson 7 yards? Because most corners give their defender a half yard to 10 yards. If they give him anything more than I think 3 to 4 yards,
his route, like watching his workout videos like over the summer, his routes are so sharp.
Right.
It's just like
so if he runs that deep post, you're running him right into Jesse Bates. Yeah. But if Jesse Bates is having to help out down low, like if Jesse Bates has to come up into the box because Dalvin's been cooking, or if Jesse Bates has to help out against Conklin or Thielen, Justin Jefferson, that's when he goes over the top. Other than that, they're going to have to give Justin Jefferson space, which is going to give Justin Jefferson 5-yard curl, hit, and just without Trey Waynes, and now they lost Mackenzie Alexander this offseason to the Vikings. They just are extremely outmatched. Like Jesse Bates, I wouldn't be surprised if he has a pick this game. Kirk averages about a pick a game, and if I were to pick one person on their team that gets a pick, it's Jesse Bates.
And what about the X factor? I don't know how good their front seven is comparatively to ours, but if we can stop Joe Burrow or Joe Mixon in the run game, how's Dalvin going to do?
I was looking at this earlier.
Dalvin's projected 80 yards and a touchdown, I believe, is what people are.
Yeah, I was looking at this earlier. I think their inside linemen are better than their outside. So I think Ogunjobi and Reeder are better than Hubbard and Hendrickson. Hendrickson's a new guy from the Saints.
He's good.
He's good, but I don't think he's amazing. And then their linebackers are
yikes.
Yep. So I think I would bet if I were putting money on it, again, not advice, I think Dalvin's over the 80, and I think Dalvin gets at least one touchdown. Is it combined yards or rush yards?
Rushing yards.
Okay, so just rushing yards, that's a good number. 80 is a good number. I think combined yards, he's going to clear 80. Trey Hendrickson is going to be getting blocked by O'Neal.
Okay,
and then
that's who we want.
And then their linebackers aren't like, I don't know. It's a mismatched coach versus a young defense. However, one thing the Bengals have going for them, this is Kubiak's first time being a play caller.
Correct. Yeah, we get to see him in game now.
He has never called plays.
His preseason, either he was hiding a lot or it just wasn't good. So
exactly.
So we'll see.
So I'm really worried about that. That is my biggest thing. I think the Bengals have no area besides special teams. I think special teams is where they beat us. The Vikings, our final prediction was, I think, 26-13, or was it
27? So 27-30, something.
27
30?
would be 4 touchdowns and a missed field goal, or 3 touchdowns and
4 touchdowns and a missed extra point.
Yeah.
And then if you got a field goal in there, it'd be 30.
Okay. So my official prediction on my notes was 26-13, but I think when we discussed it was 30-13. Either way, I really only see Tyler Boyd getting a touchdown, and I think Joe Mixon's held out of the end zone, and I think Jamar Chase is held out of the end zone. And I think it's Vikings win by definitely more than 3. That's just what we think. I think it's a mismatch at coach. It's a mismatch at wide receiver and D-back. Tyler Boyd is the best player the Bengals got against them. So, and then the best defensive players, Trey Hendrickson, Henderson.
Bates. Yeah, outside of Bates. Yep.
Yeah. So Bates is going to be helping. He's not going to be like locked on one-on-one. Sure. And then Trey is getting guarded by the Vikings' best lineman. Right. So I think this is an unfortunate matchup for them. There are teams that they do match up well against, and I don't think the Vikings are one of them. Now we're just going to move down and go through each game as they're occurring. Cowboys and Bucks going on right now. It was 7-7 earlier. The Bucks are 8.5-point favorites.
They're 9.5 at the start of the game. So they were.
I said the Bucks would win, but I think the Cowboys cover. I think it's going to be 27-35 around there. That'd be 8 as opposed to 8.5 of where it was. It was at 10 last time we checked.
Yeah.
I think they definitely cover at 10. The closest it was a 6-point. I would have bet the Bucks to cover that. I think they'll win around that 7 to 8 points.
Sure.
So then it was Bengals Vikings. I thought Vikings win by 3, or Vikings win by more than 3, which they're 3-point favorites. Eagles Falcons. Falcons are 3-point favorites. I think Falcons win. They cover, and it's a blowout. I have
the Eagles are not. Yeah, the Eagles are not good.
No, the Eagles have bad defense. Their best players on offense are young, and so you don't.
Right.
I don't see it. I think the Eagles are going to be vying for that top pick.
Yeah, I think the Falcons have that. The Falcons got offense. They are
the most hyped team this offseason. However, and teams that get hype, I am always like, let's back off a bit.
Let's take a chill. Let's hit the brakes.
Because it's all baseless. It's all, I just have a good feeling about the Falcons this year. Well, if you have a good feeling about them, they probably have a good feeling about themselves, which is going to lead to some wins. But they also have to go up against the Saints, Panthers, and Bucks for 6 of their games.
Yeah.
And it's just, I think the Falcons are being overhyped. I think the Falcons are more of like a 7-10 team.
Sure. Yeah.
I think that's like 8
good,
9.
but not great. That's
right. We did
Falcons.
when we picked how the division was going to end up. We did pick Falcons in the second place position.
Okay. I'm surprised you didn't have the score 28-3.
No, I think Calvin Ridley will get a touchdown.
Okay.
I don't think they'll get a running touchdown against I think the Eagles will. I know the reference. I know the reference, but
let's make sure you got that.
Yeah, I got that. But the next game, Steelers, Bills. Bills are 6.5-point favorites. I think the Steelers are another team. People are picking them to potentially be fighting for that position in the AFC North. I think the Steelers are potentially last place in their division. Like, I don't know. I think the Bengals probably are, but
worst 11-0 team you've ever seen last year.
Is. So, and like TJ Watt is huge, but I think so. I think the Bills win, cover. I put 41-24.
That's a lot of points.
I don't see the Steelers. So last year, Big Ben was averaging almost 50 passes a game for a little bit.
Yeah,
that's like, so 50 passes a game means you're constantly on offense.
Yeah. Burrow was up there too. Burrow was chucking 40 something a game too.
He was top 3 rookie record for having 62 in his first game.
That's crazy.
But yeah, I think Bills Mafia, if you're listening, I think you guys are opening the year strong.
Yeah.
I think Diggs.
Yeah, they gotta prove. That's their division to lose.
If I had to guess, Diggs is a 2-touchdown game. And they also are trying to run a 2-headed back. I think Moss and Singletary probably end up with a touchdown. So there's 4 touchdowns. They're at 28. You can keep going. Josh Allen probably gets 1 rushing. Like I think this game is going to be like, so normally like that week 1 games, the defense have the advantage. Because like defense is easier to prepare for.
Right.
But I really think Bills going to destroy. 49ers, Lions. Niners are 7.5-point favorites. I think Niners win, but I think Lions cover it. This is a bet I would stay away from. So
a volatile bet.
Yeah. Quick thing. Last year I was a 57% better. 57. They say your goal should be above 52 to 55. I was 57. I have had bad years, and also a heads up, my first week last year. I have it in my notebooks. I was like 40%. I was way off week 1. So we might be way off here. Just want to preface it with that. But just want to let you know, I overall last year, including the playoffs, I had every game correct except the Super Bowl. I said the Chiefs were going to beat the Bucks, but I was wrong. But I did get every other game correct. So little thing there. I am also a volatile bettor. But this is one I would stay away from. I think 31-24. So they just barely cover by half a point. But I think
Lions are most likely going to be missing the running back probably for this game.
DeAndre Swift.
Yeah.
But so I was huge on Jamal Williams coming out of BYU when he was coming into the draft. Right. I was huge on him. And when the Packers got him as a Vikings fan, I was pissed. I thought he was going to be way better for them than what he actually was, but I also think he was used incorrectly. I think Jamal Williams is still going to do well for them, even with DeAndre Swift just kind of like being taken out of the lineup for reasons. I do think they cover. I do think especially like even if Jimmy G's starting, which he is, I think the Niners give up some points to a Lions team that they are going to underestimate. I don't know if you saw, but the NFL fan vote picked the Lions to win the division.
I saw it and I scrolled past it. Yeah.
I don't think they're that good, but I do think the Lions are getting slept on. I think people are saying that they're going to be the top pick. I think the Lions are better than the Eagles. I think the Lions are better than the Texans. I think the Lions are better than a few teams that are a little better than the Jets. So they're not the worst. They're just the worst in the division. But yeah, I think they win and cover. And then 31-24. Cardinals, Titans. Titans are 3-point favorites. I think Cardinals win outright. 24-17.
Good. Let's hope Kyler and DeAndre get some points.
If I had to guess, based on the way the Titans defense is built, and they could not stop anyone last year, the only reason their scoring wasn't so high was because Derrick Henry runs the clock out.
Right.
However, the Cardinals have a pretty good front seven. I like Hassan Reddick a lot. Budda Baker is healthy. So
Budda Baker.
I think it will be a decently high scoring game, 24-17. That's 41 points total, but that's about what I think the Bills are going to get by themselves. But I think Derrick Henry gets a touchdown. I'm hoping Julio gets one against the Cardinals just because he's on my fantasy team. But if I'm being,
I was saying Kyler and DeAndre.
If I'm being 100% honest, I think Julio does not score. I think their touchdown is AJ Brown and Derrick Henry, or 2 for Derrick Henry, and then a field goal. And then I think the Cardinals, it's going to be a rushing touchdown for Kyler, passing to D-Hop, and then that third one is either going to be Christian Kirk or their rookie. Not Elijah Moore, that's the Jets guy, but they have a rookie wide receiver. I think he might get the other touchdown. So that's my pick for them. Titans are favorites, and it's the home game for them. I still think Cardinals will upset them. Seahawks, Colts, 2.5 points favorite for the Seahawks. I think Seahawks win it and cover it. I'm a huge proponent of this year of the Colts. I think the Colts are going to be underestimated every week, but their defense is incredible. However, Russell Wilson's one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL.
Yeah, they just find ways to win games.
And I heard talk about that. The best quarterbacks in the league are guys that you can't explain it. They just win. You can't always figure out why Tom Brady wins, but they win it. You can't always, Russell Wilson's one of those guys. You don't think they're going to win. I genuinely was going to pick the Colts initially, and I was like 2.5 points. Normally the home team gets a 3 points, which means if it was a home game, the Seahawks would be almost a touchdown favorite. So I think Seahawks win 27-20. So that's two touchdowns and 2 field goals for the Colts, and either 3 touchdowns and a couple field goals for Seahawks. I think DK Metcalf is going to have a rough time, but if they can get Carson going, I think Lockett's going to get a touchdown.
Sure.
Chargers football team. Chargers are 1-point favorites. I said football team wins outright 26-31.
Yeah, we're high on football team.
High on football team. I'm a Fitzmagic fan.
Oh yeah.
But I'm also an Antonio Gibson, Terry McLaurin, Curtis Thomas, Samuel, Logan Thomas, and Brandon Ryan Fitzpatrick doesn't use tight ends a ton. That's my big problem with them. However, Yeah, a huge brand. I wanted the Vikings to get Brandon Scherf, but they keep franchise tagging him.
Logan Thomas is a huge weapon, and they paid him.
They should use
do
him.
it. So,
but my biggest thing, I think Curtis Samuel is their big sign. He's a running back / wide receiver / special teams guy. He can do it all. He was not being used properly, and Christian McCaffrey being out last year hurt his value. But I think Curtis Samuel does well, and I think the football team beats the Chargers because the football team is at home. The Chargers are going. Justin Herbert was the best quarterback under pressure, but the football team brings a different type of pressure than any other team can replicate.
Magic.
And they bring magic. So next game, Jets, Panthers. Panthers are 4.5 point favorites. I think Panthers win and cover, but it's another volatile bet that I would stay away from. I said 14-21. I think both of these teams are not great on offense. There's either going to be, that's either way off, and it's going to be like 12-7 or 12-10 or 12-9, like all field goal game. Otherwise, I think it's just going to be a lot of punts punts. And then I think it's going to be, Christian McCaffrey with a touchdown or two, DJ Moore with one, and then
Sam Darnold revenge game.
Yep. Maybe McCaffrey gets one.
I want to see something. I want to see something from Zach Wilson. Something.
I think those two touchdowns from the Jets are going to be a sick pass to Elijah Moore, and then either a rushing touchdown from Wilson, or it's going to be a I'm blanking on their other wide receiver.
Coleman for a touchdown. Tevin Coleman.
Thank you. Yeah, Tevin Coleman. Yeah, so I think you'll see a lot of splash from Zach Wilson, but he's going to have to move a lot because their O-line is not great. Yep. They have just a couple good guys against the Panthers, who it's not always their players that are good, but they always seem to have good scheming. And I think that helps because they're in such a tough division.
They got to be competitive. Those teams were last year, even that division was pretty crazy.
If I had to make like a bold prediction, I think a Shaq Thompson interception.
Okay.
Or strip sack. Jaguars, Texans. Why would you ever bet on a game that has these two teams involved no matter what year it is? It's Jags are 3-point favorites. I think Jags win and cover 34-13. Blowout. You got Tyrod Taylor versus Trevor Lawrence. You got David Johnson, Mark Ingram, Duke Johnson versus James Robinson, who's so good.
Right.
And the
Jags have some weapons on the passing game too.
Weapons. They have a decent O-line, but not great. Both teams have quarterbacks that are going to have to run for their lives, but Trevor Lawrence is built better for taking hits. Yeah, I just think the Texans defense is terrible. Texans offense is almost as terrible. Jaguars at least have a good offense. So it'll be a high scoring game, but I think it'll be high scoring on one side. If I were to pick a team, I think it's Jags, but I wouldn't bet it anyway. It's illegal in Minnesota, so I'm not actually putting any money on any of these. So Browns, Chiefs are 6.5 point favorites. I think Chiefs win, but Browns cover 37-31. Barely cover, but I think the Browns are super underrated here. I think the Chiefs are just one of those teams that, if I were to pick my Super Bowl favorite, Chiefs.
Right. Yeah.
They have the best quarterback that I have watched with my own eyes.
Yep.
It's if I were to put somebody above Mahomes as somebody like as I'm watching them, I'm like, wow, that's an incredible quarterback. It's Aaron Rodgers.
Right.
Tom Brady's one of those guys, like as I watch, I'm like, you don't think that. You don't think, wow, he just wins.
Yeah.
And then Russell Wilson's another one of those guys. But Patrick Mahomes, you watch him and it's just
Chiefs are always the favorites.
Chiefs should be favorite. As long as Patrick Mahomes, Kelsey, and Tyreek Hill are not 50 years old and Andy Reid's their head coach. And they got it's like multiple teams have a bunch of new offensive linemen. Packers have 3 new starting offensive linemen week 1. Part of that's an injury, but like the Chiefs, all of their new linemen are vets. Like it's not like they're terrible new guys or like
right. And then when they brought in Schwartz, he was one of those vets, and then he was like a key piece in them winning the whole thing.
Their offense. So Laurent Duvernay-Tardis, I think, is a good lineman.
Oh yeah,
their new linemen are so good
too, right?
That's why he sat out COVID, because it wasn't because he was worried about COVID. He was treating COVID patients.
Right. Yeah.
He's really good, and their new line is so good that he's on the trading block, which I think the Vikings should at least dabble. He's
Snip
going to be
around.
expensive in a year or two, but those teams we just mentioned, Jags, Texans, Jets, what are you doing?
Right.
You have young quarterbacks that need protection. Bengals, go get Laurent Duvernay-Tatis, please. But yeah, I think Browns cover, but
Browns
Chiefs
made some
do win.
noise. Browns made some noise last year. We
I
just
love
hoping
the
that
Browns.
all those. Yeah, we've always loved the Browns.
We loved the Browns when
Peyton Hillis, Jordan Cameron, Isaiah Crowell,
when Isaiah Crowell was big.
the
But for
weed
me,
smoker,
Brady
Josh
Quinn,
Gordon,
Cody Kessler. You know, I've always liked the players they have. They just have never turned it into wins.
Josh Gordon, Joe Hayden.
I
should
also
have worn my
liked
Hayden
you
jersey.
should have worn. I also really like Justin Gilbert. I thought that he would have been a great fit for the Vikings, but I thought they would have used a Khalil Mack or Anthony Barr better. And then Justin Gilbert didn't turn out too good. But yeah, we've always liked the Browns, so we are a little biased there, but I do think the Browns are really good. I think the Chiefs defense, I think they fall off end of games because their offense is so quick hitting.
Right.
And I think the Browns are good. Their running attack is good enough to wear that Chiefs defense down, and I think it'll keep it a close game.
Okay.
Dolphins, Patriots. Patriots are 3 points favorites. I think Patriots win and cover because Belichick will handle Tua. I think
they spent a lot of money. They spent a lot of money this offseason. So
they spent the most ever of any team. Mac Jones is a not exciting, mistake-free quarterback. He's just,
we'll see. I think there's a lot of question marks.
My question marks for him are, can he be mistake-free in live games? Brian Flores is a tremendous coach. I think the Dolphins seem to have the Patriots number. However, that was mainly when Tom was there, but it seems to be consistent anyway. I think the Dolphins will get him a couple times. I think 16-24 is fairly close. It's
Dolphins got some good offensive pieces too.
Who's their starting running back now?
Myles Gaskin,
that's the one. I was wanting to say Kenyon Drake. Is no, he's been on 3 teams since then. I think Devontae Parker, Jalen Waddle, Mike Gesicki, Myles Gaskin. It's their weak point on offense right now is quarterback and O-line. So Patriots, with the way they scheme, I think just outdoes that offensive line, which in turn stops their production. And then the Dolphins defense, I think, is going to be good, and then is going to have a couple slip ups that cause the loss.
You still expect Xavier Howard to just be locked down? They don't throw his way.
So Mac Jones studies film a lot. His biggest thing, apparently, he was studying film in preseason, which nobody does. He might not be scared of Xavier Howard. I think he's going to come up, and if he sees Xavier in a coverage that he doesn't like, he'll stay away. But if he sees a coverage that he might like, he'll give it a shot. Sure. Mac Jones he's good. I just don't think he's amazing. Yeah, I think they go for it. I think Byron Jones is also really good. So if anything, you're gonna see the dink and dunk, Dink and Mac. It's gonna be Jonnu Smith, Hunter Henry over the middle against the weaker Dolphins linebackers. Packers Saints, 3-point favorites for the Packers. Packers win and cover. I said this is gonna be a shootout. 38-33. I think Devonta Adams gets a couple. Rodgers throws a couple. Aaron Jones probably gets one. AJ Dillon might sneak one in. Tanyan might get one. And I think Jameis is going to just launch it all over the place. Alvin Kamara is going to have 30 carries, 30 catches. He's going to have all 33 of their points. He's going to kick their field goals.
Only if it was you in the championship game.
True. But yeah, I think 38-3 is going to be a shootout, but I think Packers win and cover. Broncos, Giants. Broncos are 2.5-point favorites over the Giants. Everything that I've been hearing rumblings is that the Giants are unsure of Daniel Jones, even though they felt so sure before the season started, and that they feel like their offense is sluggish. I think that comes from distrust in the coach, and because of that, I think the Broncos are going to win and cover. Teddy Bridgewater is another one of those guys that just seems to find a Fitzmagic type where you don't think they should win, and they find a occasional win, but not that great quarterback sort of finds ways to win. And like I said, I think KJ Hamler is going to have a breakout year. Cortland Sutton's going to get guarded. He's going to get guarded tight by the the Giant Bradbury.
Let's hope not too tight because I need him to score.
I think Bradbury is going to.
They have another guy.
Noah Font.
Keep going.
Good chance here. But yeah, I think Broncos do win. I think it's a high passing game.
Tim Patrick. He played well for them last year.
Hamler's more like a rookie year Tyler Lockett, where it's
Jerry
kind of
Jeudy,
like
they got pieces.
Jerry Jeudy needs to just learn how to catch the ball, though. But I think KJ Hamler, it's those white lines, they're not there. I think KJ Hamler's like rookie year Tyler Lockett a lot, where it's a 60-yard touchdown or it's a 2-yard catch. So it's just it's kind of hard to guess, but I think Giants are beaten over the top easy. It's trying to dink and dunk that might be difficult against them.
Yep.
Bears Rams 7.5 point favorites. I think Rams win, but Bears cover. They're at 27-32. I think the Bears are underrated because Andy Dalton is listed as their starter. You could honestly drop both of those by 10 if you want and say 17-22. I think that might be even more accurate. But I think with all the rules, like we saw a ton of explosive offenses in week 1 last year. And because I was so wrong last year, I'm just going for the complete opposite. I'm going to go for like everybody's going to explode again. So I think their Rams defense is overrated right now. They lost a lot of pieces that I don't think people are taking into enough effect. Like even guys like Apke, like he wasn't even like a starting safety for them all the time last year. That's a big loss. And then they lost John Johnson to the Browns. So yeah, I think their defense is going to take a step back, but still going to be amazing and really good. It's just not as good as everybody thinks. I don't think they're going to be able to shut out a team. Sure. But obviously I'm okay being wrong because I am a big Rams fan ever since Steven Jackson.
The only thing I'm not a fan of is their logo.
Yeah. Yep. I don't like their new logo.
Or is it the Chargers logo?
I mean,
one of them looks identical to the other one. Like I think it's the Rams.
Yeah. But yeah, I do think Rams win, but I think the Bears are better than people think, and the Rams are worse than people think.
I'd like to see Stafford in a new situation. I'd like to see him air it out.
Which is why I'm hoping they do have that 27-32. I hope Stafford's played the Bears so many times.
Yeah.
He usually does well, and the Rams have decent receivers. It's just the Rams offense I question. The Rams defense, I think, took a step back. So the hype for them being like the Chiefs #1 competition, I think that's too much. And I honestly, like we said it, we think the Rams are finishing behind the Cardinals. I think
that was close though. It was like 1A and 1B.
Right.
So
I don't think
you wanted the Rams, and then
I did. I want the Rams.
Cardinals.
But I think the Rams I think the Rams are great, but they're not as good as everybody thinks. So yeah, we'll move on. Ravens, Raiders. This is the last game.
Does this change now with the injuries?
Does this change? No, because I made this today. Josh Jacobs is day to day. Kenyon Drake is like not. I mean, he wouldn't be on as many teams as he's been on if he was trustworthy as a running back.
He's good.
He's really good. It's just I don't know
if he was. I think they don't want to pay him too.
Nope. Well, and why does no team want to pay him? Like, I think the Ravens win. I think the Ravens cover. I said 26-21. I think Raiders get a few touchdowns. I think Derek Carr continues doing Derek Carr things where he puts up good numbers but can't get wins. Very Kirk Cousins-esque, where they have a decent record. They get some wins. They pull out some wins that they shouldn't, like beating the Chiefs. I still think they lose. Ravens. I think Lamar Jackson, playoff or a contract year, he's going to destroy people. I think you've seen his MVP numbers. I think he's going to get close to that again. I honestly think Josh Allen's going to finish second in MVP votes, or like top 3 in MVP votes again, but won't win it again because guys like Lamar and Mahomes are going to put their numbers.
Right.
Yeah. And I think Ravens win and cover. So that's what I thought. That's what the slate of games this week. Most people only go through like 5 of their games, like the games they feel strongest about. Maybe we'll do that in the future, especially if
you could put up a graphic too. You can be like, here's our thoughts for this week.
Yeah, and then it would only be like a 2-second. I wouldn't have to worry about editing. That'd be nice.
Yeah, I mean, maybe you could do that.
Yeah, so maybe we'll do that in the future. But for this week,
we'll pick one. So we did the Vikings Bengals this week.
Yeah,
let's do that. Like, let's do our Vikings thing, and then let's just pick a game. Let's pick
a second game to do
a random game. Yeah,
and then
we can put up the scores,
and then we'll do the graphic of the rest of the scores. I like that. So little discussion there, but that's what we think. Watch that. Watch me get like 10% of those right. Just watch.
Okay, which would be what, 2 games?
Yeah, last year my week 1 was awful. My week 1 predictions was awful. It was I was hitting like 60% post.
The only one where I kind of felt like a little bit like unsure of was the Dolphins Patriots. That's the one where I was like,
if we were to do those sorts of things where we only pick 5 like other sports places, Dolphins Patriots is another game I would stick away from.
Yeah, Jags Texans is free, so should be free.
It should be, but exactly, it's volatile. That's all we got for the NFL. We just want to do a quick breakdown. It will be different in the future, just because I like the flow of that. I just think we could make it smoother. We do have one baseball news. Minnesota Twins new pitcher Joe Ryan is the best pitcher in the history of baseball.
The Twins in the history of
baseball.
Yeah.
Nope, not Twins. Yeah. Like move over Nolan Ryan. Move over what's his name? Verlander.
Yeah.
Just get out of here. Get out of here.
Dude, they had one. I looked at the recap because out there like Joe Ryan pitches 7 shutout innings. Gave up a hit, which he needs to fix.
Not just 7 shutout innings. He had a perfect game through 7.
Yeah.
This dude this is his first start, right? Or second start?
Second start, yeah. First
second
one he
start,
went 5
throwing
innings.
Perfect games.
Yeah.
What is this?
Yeah, he gave up a hit, but that was the only hit the entire game. Like they cleaned up the next 2 innings.
I just know it must be something with the name Joe, because Joey Chestnut,
Joe Nathan,
Joe Rybolt, Joe Ryan, Joe Nathan, Joe Mama, all of
Joe
them.
Montana.
Joe Montana. Are these coincidences? Probably not. Probably not. Joe Ryan's the best ever. You can't get me off that.
It's good.
By the way, the last pitcher that had this good of a start was Francisco Liriano.
Hey, shut down what? He starts 17 to start the game?
Joe Ryan retired 19 in a row.
Okay, we're not huge baseball people, but
people should be able to see that by my reaction.
We're probably going to follow this Joe Ryan story for a little bit.
Shohei Ohtani is somebody I pay attention to. Aaron Judge is somebody I pay attention to. Joe Ryan is
Fernando Tatis Jr.
I love Tatis.
Yeah.
So there's a few
fun.
And Mookie Betts. So
Vlad Guerrero Jr.
There's that set of players that I'm watching, but in terms of baseball overall, not a big fan. However, Joe Ryan, future Cy Young winner, he's gonna get Golden Glove.
He's got long hair too. You seen his hair?
Yeah. Yep.
Flowing.
He'll get Golden Glove as a pitcher. Put him on batting. I bet he could hit 30 home runs.
See, it's too. You think it's too early to build a statue for him outside of Target Field, or no?
No, I think those like the Twins sign that has like the 2 guys talking to each other.
Yep.
They should just replace that with 2 Joe Ryans, like twins, actual twins.
Yeah.
So there you go. I'm all for it. Joe Mauer.
Ooh. Joe
Jeter.
Also, congratulations, Derek Jeter, Hall of Fame.
Yeah, well, he's the Hall of Fame
shocker
on and off the field, right?
Shocker. Someone didn't vote for him. It was like 296 out of 297.
Probably a
Red Sox fan,
right? Either Detroit Tigers, Red Sox, White Sox. Some huge fan of them, or somebody that like Derek Jeter slept with his wife. Like,
which you'd probably, I would like thank him,
right? It's like, oh, hope she's pregnant. But yeah, and so we just had that quick baseball topic. However, we could talk about it forever, considering people are going to be talking about Joe Ryan forever. So that's it for sports. We did it. Oh, Kaprizov from the Wild.
Oh yeah,
he got re-signed.
5-year extension or something like that.
About
time, dude.
There's another thing. We got the future Gretzky of hockey, and we got the future whatever
Nolan Ryan,
future Nolan Ryan, the future whatever. What you can't even name
Why put
another
a limit?
pitcher.
Yeah, why put a limit on it?
There's never been a Joe Ryan before. Never. Johan Santana?
Who?
Nope. Who? But yeah, that's sports. So that's it for the sports section of our podcast. Thank you all for watching. This has been episode 12. I know you're gonna love it because I've been loving it, and super fun. We've actually got a couple people reaching out to us this week that we won't spoil any news because I don't want to say anything before it's official. Right. But we had some people reach out to us that was pretty exciting. So yeah, we got some more. We're over 20 subscribers. Thank you all so much. We got a couple videos that hit over 50 views on Twitter, so make sure to check that out. That's at Glaziar Gamble. We've been breaking up into clips. I've been posting the shorter clips directly on Twitter without having to click a link. So I know some people like that. So check that out. Check out our Twitter. If you like this video, show it with the thumbs up button. Like that, smash that like. Yeah, hit that like button. It's not hard. Just it's just like a little. Don't hit it. The like button is abused by people that are smashing all the time. Just tap it. Tap that like button for us. And then subscribe because we're at 21, but pretty soon that's going to be 21 million. So be part of that. Be part of that first 100. Be part of that first 50. And so you can let people know. Be a hipster about it. Like I followed these guys before they were cool.
Yeah, like when
we've never been cool, but maybe we will be one day.
We've been cool. We wear sandals with socks.
Yeah. We put our milk in before our cereal. We wear sandals.
No, we don't. No. What a monster are you?
I brush my teeth before I have a big glass of orange juice. Yeah, thank you for watching. Had a lot of fun. And if you want to watch the Marvel section, that is also going to be on YouTube. Otherwise, continue. We've started breaking up our podcast into shorter clips. Check those out if you would like as well. And like I said, follow on Twitter. Thanks, everybody. GG.
GG.